Everybody, welcome back. Change your perspective, change your awareness, change your life. Talking about wounds, talking about the masculine energy wound, okay? And masculine and feminine energy, if you don't know, are energies that everybody has in their body. How do you know this? Because it exists in nature. And for everything that exists in nature also exists within us. You should know about this from things like the yin and the yang, right? Yin is feminine, yang is masculine, but you see it everywhere, okay? I think pretty much any archetypal symbol, let's talk fire, has the ability to destruct and destroy, which is a masculine energy, and has the ability to create and purify, feminine energy. Every archetypal symbol has that. Also, we can talk about like elements, right? I'm thinking archetypal things. When I say archetypal things, things that exist before us, right? Before we didn't make them, we can't make them, we just benefit from them. Earth, water, air, fire, archetypal symbols. Earth is feminine, air is masculine, fire is masculine, water is feminine, right? Everything has energies to it. And everything is energy. Tesla told us back in the 20s. Like, we know that everything is energy. Quantum physics tells us that. Like, we're really coming along now. It's a little slow, but we're really coming along. Everything has a vibration. Everything is energy. Emotions, people, objects, animals, everything. And so, in us, we have both masculine and feminine energy, which becomes our essence, right? What we function out of. So, everybody has a dominant energy. As an example, I tend to be more in my masculine. I'll tell you why. Well, I'll tell you all about the masculine energies in a second, but it's just like, it's how you kind of conduct yourself a lot of times. So if you're somebody who's really good at going with the flow, you don't need a schedule, you don't need to know the things, you're kind of a type B, as they call it, you're better at feminine energy. You're just naturally in that. If you're more, I like a schedule, I like routine, I like this to be very structured, that's more masculine energy. Now, in our brains, we have that too. Masculine is logic, feminine is emotion. Masculine is doing energy, feminine is being. Masculine energy is providing and protecting. Feminine energy is receiving and caring. Masculine energy is, I said doing, right? And feminine energy is being. What's the opposite of receiving? Feminine energy is receiving. Masculine energy is, I said providing, I said being. Making things happen. Action. Action. There's a good word for it. There we go. Masculine energy is action, active. And feminine energy is passive, receiving, receptive. We need both. But like, think about nature. The bee is the masculine energy that pollinates the flower, which is the feminine energy. The bee moves, is doing. The flower stays, it receives, right? It's just very natural, and that's in us. So I want to talk about wounded masculine, what it looks like, the traits. I teach courses on all of this, so I wrote some of it down. I'm just gonna make a note. I didn't want to miss any. I want it to be very comprehensive for you, because odds are you're functioning out of wounded masculine and probably wounded feminine. And you'll know if you're doing any of these things. Here are all wounded masculine things, okay? Attachment to success. Now, this one's tricky because you want to know what your definition of success is. Most often, the definition of success that most people have is money. Money. Now, I've talked about this elsewhere. I don't define success like that. I define success as freedom. Freedom of time, freedom of money, freedom of energy, freedom of space, freedom. Freedom is success to me. I've talked about that elsewhere. So attachment to your defined idea of success, whatever you think of success as. So you need to, if you're like, oh crap, that's me, you need to redefine success and also get unattached to it. And that's just one, okay? So 1, attachment to success. 2, a fear of failure. I had to reframe failure like it was my job. I was actually just talking to someone about this yesterday. Failure can't exist if you don't believe it exists. So now for me, I don't fail. Sometimes I win and sometimes I learn. That's it. And even when I learn, I win, so I'm always winning. There's never a time I don't win. Now, that wasn't how I always felt. Now, you should read the book by John Maxwell. It's actually called Sometimes Sometimes you win, sometimes you learn. It's so good. But it'll help reframe your idea of failure. But the thing is, logically knowing something and believing something are two different things. I actually was just kind of going through myself this morning, and there's still a very, very deep wounded masculine that I'm working through myself, literally right now as we speak, which is that fear of failure, because I didn't realize that I had a belief around the phrase, I can't. I can't feels like failure to me. When I say I can't do this, I can't go there, I can't provide this, I can't see this. When I was a kid, I would go to the eye doctor and I had bad eyes and I couldn't see. And when I would say I can't see that, I don't know what that is, I felt like a huge failure, a lot of shame there. So when we say, when I say I can't, that to me equates to failure. I didn't know that about myself until today. So I still have beliefs we're working through. I'm always working through things. Everybody should always be working through things because we always have things to work through. So if you have a fear of failure, you need to reframe failure and then investigate the beliefs around, well, where do I feel like I failed? What makes me feel like I failed? So there's two parts to that one too. Redefine failure, reframe failure, and find the places where you believe failure exists in your life. You need to be right. That's 3. You need to be right. 4, you're selfish. Now, I struggle with this one too. I can't lie to you. What is selfishness actually? My will over anything else. My way or the highway. And I do struggle with that even now, even still. Like that was something I always struggled with in my partnerships. And I didn't realize I was 25 with my ex. And he was like, Michelina, you're selfish. And I was like, I've told this story before. And I was like, I started crying because I knew he was right. And I never thought that because I was so selfless with my time. I was actually in my wounded feminine. I'll talk about that tomorrow. But I was in my wounded feminine in such a way that I'd overextend and I would people please and I would do all these things. So I was like, how am I selfish? But at the end of the day, I absolutely was because it was my way or the highway. I didn't build with my partners. I had a plan that you could get on board with or you could ship out. And that is not very serving in a partnership. And it's also the wounded masculine. So that selfishness, you want to get very honest with yourself if you have that like my way or no way type of a thing. Aggressive. Now there's a huge difference between aggressive and assertive. I will tell you, like I said, I have struggled, and if I'm not careful, will struggle with all of these because I'm primarily in my masculine energy. So I have a more tendency to be in a wounded masculine if I'm not smart, careful, and like very conscientious. So aggressiveness happens with me when I get frustrated, when I get impatient, when I get annoyed, when I get tired. Like I'm more apt to aggression. I suppose you could say, and I don't know if I want to say this, but I think you could, masculine energy is fighter energy and feminine energy is lover energy, right? If you've ever heard them say like, are you a lover or fighter? I'm a fighter because I'm more primarily my masculine energy. And masculine and feminine energy has nothing to do with gender as we would have it, right? Like a woman can be primarily in her masculine energy, hi, I am, or a man could be more in his feminine energy. Like that's completely fine, totally normal. But you want to make sure you're in your healthy masculine and feminine and not in your wounded. And so you're stuck, that's 5, aggression. 6, you're stuck in your mind. You don't access your emotions at all. You don't want to acknowledge that you have emotions. You might be emotionally repressed. You're always logicking things. You're always going around in circles in your mind. I was there. Now I'm not, I'm better, but I was there. The thing I needed to do was, well, there was a lot actually, it was a whole thing. But I needed to find language. I tell this story a lot. I'm going to tell it again. And like I said, this is a whole teaching. Like we're already at 9 minutes and there's so much more to talk about. So sorry, I'm going to go a little over, but I didn't have language. Like I was in therapy in 2018 and my life was deconstructing. My therapist was like, hey, Michelina, how are you today? I'm like, I'm fine. She's like, no, how are you? I'm like, I am fine. And she'd be like, I read about you in the newspaper this morning. Your life is a fucking mess. You cannot be fine. And I was like, well, don't know what to tell you. I am. She was like, handed me a list of paper, like a paper with a list of faces on it that had all these emotions. And I was like, oh, I'm upset, I'm depressed, I'm anxious, I'm worried, I'm scared, I'm embarrassed, I'm ashamed. Like I was like, oh, I'm all these things. But I didn't know because I didn't even acknowledge it to myself. If you're stuck in the mind, which I was, and you never acknowledge your emotions, which we don't, that first step is emotional awareness. Yes, I have emotions because I'm human. So unless you're a robot or AI, you have emotions. So that's step one. If you're like, wow, Michelina, I'm 6 for 6, you're in your wounded masculine. You might want to message me. You might want to message me. We can help you out of that. Defending yourself, that's 7. You always feel like you have to defend. You always feel like you're being attacked. And then because you're always defending, you're always attacking. It's like you're in a constant battle. So if anybody tells you anything, you feel like it's you're defensive. You feel like they're attacking you. So you're going to attack them back. Being cold or distant, being emotionally like shut off will allow for that coldness, that distance. I don't know if you've ever had somebody tell you in relationships they don't feel like you love them, or they don't feel passionate, or they don't feel like, I don't know, they matter to you. Cold and distant. And then the last is critical and judgmental. You're always looking at what's wrong with other people, and sometimes never looking at what's maybe not so great about you. That's all wounded masculine. Okay, it's hypercritical, it's hyper judgmental, it's aggressive. So if any of those resonated, or all of them resonate, like I said, I have worked through literally all of this and still do work through a lot of it, So if you have any of those wounds, if you have any of those struggles, that's all wounded masculine energy. And it means that you're not in a healthy energetic place. We'll talk more about the wounded feminine tomorrow. There are healthy signs of being in the masculine. I might do a series on, this is just about wounds, so I'm just gonna put this here, but I might do a series on like getting into healthiness in some way, shape, or form, and I could talk more about what you want to aspire to. But right now I'm just trying to make people aware of what they might be going through, which I absolutely did. So this is the wound series. So we're talking about wounds. Those symptoms, those ways of showing up are all wounded masculine energies. Now, if any of those resonated, just get self-aware, like, oh damn, I'm in my wounded masculine. And if you want to message me, shoot me a message, shoot me a comment, like let me know. I still am open for one-on-one coaching for like another couple days. If you are interested in learning more about this or showing up differently, we have a school for that. It opens on Monday. Okay, so I'll drop the links below. The school is going to be open. You have a community, and then there's also a semester where you come back mind, body, spirit. So we'll be covering that in the school because I know they don't teach this in school, and I think everybody needs it because we all have masculine and feminine energy and we all need it. So yes, we have a school for that. But all that to say, I hope this is helpful for you. I hope it's helping you raise your awareness. Here's what I don't want you to do real quick. If you watch this, don't go send it to somebody else. We do that a lot. We're like, oh, Johnny really needs this. And it's like, no, you really need this. Stop it, right? So if you want to grow the channel, tell your friends about how helpful it is for you, but don't like send it to them. Don't point out, like, you know what that is, guys? That's wounded masculine, critical, judgmental. Knock it off, right? All right, I'm over time. So I will see you guys on the next video talking about the wounded feminine. Tune in for that because you have feminine energy too. And my guess most of the time is if you're in your wounded masculine, you're also in your wounded feminine. That's at least, that was true for me. All of this is true for me, guys. I've gone through all of it. So with that being said, like, comment, subscribe, let me know what you're thinking, feeling. Shoot me a message privately if you need to. And I will see you guys on the next video.